Hey, Andrew, how are you doing, brother?
Good, Seth. It's been a while.
It's been a wee bit of a while because, as we've said, old man gamers, we have lives outside of everything else and just living that life and being an old man gamer. But old man gaming means that sometimes, as many who are old man gamers, sometimes best laid intentions, right?
You gotta get things done sometimes.
yeah.
Travel and work takes priority.
Yeah, but you got to pay the bills to be able to afford the games and be able to keep the lights on and do fun things like a podcast like with us. So that said, we've had a chance to catch up too, because we haven't had much of a chance to hang out and talk and do our thing too. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to go over our holiday list.
This year, we have our video games holidays for 2024. We're going to go through some of our suggestions of what games we liked, games we're looking forward to playing. We haven't finished them all yet, but we're going to start and enjoy. And we both mainly play on the PS5 for these reviews, but I have an Xbox, we have a Switch, I have a PC. So we look at all the different versions, but if we don't say something, it's usually the PS5 version, just because that's what most gamers play.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is back in the day, if you really wanted to have top shelf graphics, and this goes back to old man gamer world, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking going back into the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yeah. The first GeForce.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the world you once imagined. 25 years in the making. Driven by a passion to explore and built on a true love for the game. It all started with a single revolutionary GPU, the GeForce 256. Inspiring the future of gaming for 25 years. And what comes next?
So like you would play Atari back in the 80s, you'd play Atari and it was almost like you were playing at the arcade. But if you wanted a true arcade experience, you wouldn't play a PC game. And a PC game, they were able graphically and CPU wise and just processing power wise to push the envelope with the videos.
Totally.
So you actually sometimes got better gameplay.
Well, Doom came out with their id technology, which really pushed 3D graphics with Quake and just kept going. So, and we'll talk about that later in some of the games. id technology is showing up on Microsoft's side of things. So we'll talk about other games too. But yeah, the technology's gotten crazier and crazier. Like I have the PSVR 2, and tell you what, the OLED looks great with PC games. It's amazing. It's definitely the $350 option to buy equipment right now this year. And I totally endorse getting that over a more expensive option. Yes, I have the Quest 3, but I feel if you're a PC gamer, go get the PSVR. You'll like the visual on it. You'll love playing all the different games that are on the PC that's been around for the last 5 years, all the top hits, and just seeing a new light, literally.
And I think that's part of the thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go do the video game holiday list.
Right.
Recommends, some of it recommending it because we've played it. Some of it we're recommending it because it is so high up on the charts and everyone out in the universe of video game land has basically come to a concurrence that this is an it game.
Yeah.
For the family gamers, for the parents that are out there that might be watching, these are video games. We will make a point to let you know whether or not they are appropriate, but then at the same time, we're going to tell you totally worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get into the fact that it is totally worth it. So with that said, the very first game on the list just got released and I have not played it. I've seen a few little clips of it, but I haven't really dove into it, but apparently you have. So it's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, so this is from Machine Games. They're, I think, a Swedish company. And they've been famous for doing different things, but they're using id technology too. So the graphics and the background, it runs better than Unreal 5. There's been, the frame rate's not an issue. It's 60 frames on the Xbox. I'm sure it'll be in the PS5 Pro even better. But it's an amazing looking game. It starts out, I won't be any spoilers, but starts out at the beginning of Indiana Jones as a flashback, and then basically gets in the game. But the game itself is amazing detail. Light on the puzzles, more puzzles if you want to. There's a hub. This isn't any secrets, but there's a hub in the Vatican where you got disguised as a priest. You're going on different missions from there. And it's if anything, it definitely prohibits you, or not prohibits you, doesn't want you to use guns. Use the whip. You know how to box. You read a book. It's like basically a great fighting fistcuff games, and you're always on a venture from one scene to the next. Like when you're watching a good movie, it just keeps you on the grip like every second of it. So it's a great game. I haven't finished it yet, but I put it on the top list right for family, for friends. Anybody likes the Indiana Jones series, it's just like a 2 thumbs up from us. Like, it's amazing. And Seth's going to catch up. He has a PS5. He doesn't have an Xbox. It's on the PC too. Time is limited.
And again, we go back to what is available and what we can do. And I apologize, everybody, because it's been a couple days since we've been in the studio.
Yeah.
And for some reason, my mic continues to slide down, which, hey, happens on occasion.
So that's the first game recommending. I think it's a must-buy. If it top your list of all these games, I think it's probably one of the best games made this year. The cutoff for most game of the year is November. We're not doing that. Ours will be December 31st. So I highly recommend this game for everybody to play it. If you have friends, go to their house and play it. It's just something the wife and the kids can all play together, and it's just a fun game. So that's the first one.
Yeah. So can we dive into the second one, which is Warhammer 40K Space Marines 2? Can I say I've gotten to play it very briefly?
Yeah.
If
you like the lore, it's definitely all there.
Okay. So all I can say is, I obviously say way more than all I can say, but I will definitely just start out with the fact that it is 100%. It's Warhammer 40K. It is. Is someone like Henry Cavill can 100% stand behind this and go, yeah, I feel like I'm playing an Ultramarine. The only thing that I'm looking at is the fact that could they Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2? They pick up where they left off with the sergeant, and I can't remember his name because it's one of those Roman
demoted. He has that whole class. And they promote him again to Space Marine.
But the thing that I'm looking at is, can we have this studio do things like with the Blood Angels, and not just the Ultramarines, like the Blood Angels and the other chapter houses and the Custodies and all the different fun things with Warhammer? Because it's awesome.
Yeah. If you're into the Warhammer universe, it's a must-buy.
Yeah, it's dark, it's gritty, it's gory, it's
not for kids.
Yeah, not for kids. We want to stress, not for kids.
No.
So then,
it's a dad game,
but definitely recommend to go do it. It's definitely a recommend. It's worth every bit.
To me, playing it, like, I never understood Warhammer besides little pieces and some of the story, and so I play this game, and I'm like, oh, I get it. It's very dark, very gritty, and crazy. It's a crazy Pulp Fiction-y, from the 1930s sci-fi world to now.
Call it Cthulhu type feel, H.P. Lovecraft type feel. It's like they've got chaos, evil monsters coming from the void to destroy and corrupting chapter houses and
there's little imps flying around. Like, it's
Primarchs and all that other
sci-fi. There's a whole spiritual weirdness side to this whole thing, which is good and bad, but it's very dark and it's fun.
Yeah, and then from there we move on to a sports title that
no one cares about football this year.
Is that stop it? Do not say that. It is huge because my Oregon Ducks are number one in the nation.
Deservedly so.
Let me replace that again. The Oregon Ducks are number one in the nation, undefeated. Now, hopefully, when this comes out and as the national championship, hopefully we're going to be grasping and hoisting the national champion trophy, to the chagrin of many other folks. And for all of you that are in the playoffs, I apologize. I'm a diehard Duck. It's
a 99.999% chance they're going to win. So
let's go, Ducks.
It's their year. They're doing amazing. I don't think anybody looks as good as them at all.
Yeah, no, they're incredible.
No one even talks about it. Like, when you like the reason, there's the Ducks. There's everybody else.
But the reason, and this is not a college football thing, but the reason why we say that is because EA Sports NCAA Football 2024 came out this year.
Yep.
And it is the
first
time
since
2014 that it's come out.
It was rocky when it came out, but they fixed it.
And I'm absolutely desperately in love with it and want to play more. And it is family friendly, so I strongly encourage you, if you're parents, this is one of those games, especially fathers and daughters, mothers and sons, and fathers and sons, mothers and daughters. If you love football and you have your favorite NCAA team, you can dive in and you can manage that team and you can raise them up.
And for the bad players out there that can barely play, just play Oregon Ducks. You'll be good.
Yeah. And then on top, you can also play University of Georgia, University of Alabama, Ohio State. Just saying. Yeah. And so I strongly recommend that this year also as well. And then, of course, going on this list of recommends, must buy, must go play.
Yeah.
Do this for freedom, for democracy.
Yeah. Totally.
For burritos.
And what's great about this game, Helldivers 2, is that it came out buggy. They made it better. And now everybody's mad it's on the Game of the Year list. There's all these Game of the Year lists that left it off for other games like Elden Ring with their DLC. And everybody's like, Helldivers 2 should definitely have been there as one of the Game of the Year contenders, because it is.
Well, 100%. And I think
it is in our world.
And like I said back on the review that we did for Helldivers 2, where I said, and I will say it again and again, that this is a tentpole franchise for the PlayStation, because PlayStation has been lacking a multi-person militaristic combat game that is a tentpole that is solely for PlayStation and Steam. I will say they did release it on Steam, which is a very intelligent thing to do to bring in the PC gamers. But that said, this is the first tentpole where you can say, oh, Helldivers 2, that's a PS game.
Oh, totally.
And totally worth going in and playing. And I'm still playing it to this day. In fact,
it reminds me of the original Xbox Halo. Like, it's like that much fun. It's back to just having fun, not being over serious, not having people cheat all the time, because there are not that many cheaters on it, I think, from my experience.
No, because it's a PvE. You're not against other players.
You can shoot the other players.
Oh, you can 100% shoot the other players.
And they get mad. Trust me. Seth gets kicked out. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
I have been kicked out just because the fact that players
We're
who are
old man gamers
and people who are griefing, and then what do? You can only be griefed so many times by one player who is being stupid and dropping orbital strikes on you while you're fighting. No warning. Just like you're out there just rocking, and then they leave you to not reinforce you. Even though there's reinforcements, they're running around like, and you're hitting the X button like, reinforce, please. Reinforce, please. You killed me. Please reinforce me. It's the least you could do. You're not actively engaged with the enemy. And they're, oh, yeah, here, let me throw you in. And they're so far away from your equipment that you've got a 2-minute cooldown time waiting for so that you can get your special gear again. Anyway.
But you care when you play the game. You actually get sucked in, hours go by, but you can jump in.
Well, and now the Super Earth space station has come into play.
Oh, okay.
So you can blockade planets and bring down strikes and all sorts of cool stuff.
Right.
So 100%. And I would say that if you put the filters on, you can 100% play this with your family.
There you go.
Just know that it's robots and bugs and
gore.
There is gore on there, and if you get killed, you definitely get killed.
But it's a great game.
Yeah. And then I would say this is one that I know I played on your gaming system, is Hogwarts Legacy. That is 100%.
They updated for the Pro. It looks great. It's still, for a family game, it has so much time in it. You can just lose yourself in that world. Anybody likes Harry Potter, it's definitely must buy. And it's one of the best games. They've sold over 30 million copies this year. And think about Hogwarts, it was put down because of the author and her issues. It's an amazing game. I can't wait for the sequel. I can't see what they're going to do next with it. The studio has made so much money off it. So it's a no-brainer. Definitely purchase for the family if you haven't already.
And if you're obviously House Ravensclaw, then you definitely need it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm House Ravensclaw.
Oh, yeah. All day, Ravensclaw.
Totally.
Let's go, Rowena.
Totally.
Now, outside of that, we've got Stellar Blade. Now, that one there was some controversy around Stellar Blade because they did the whole kind of K-pop, Korean hot chick type thing.
And the funny thing is, like, some of the criticism when it first came out, there's no model like that. And it's actually one of the artist's wives that does the artwork for the game is modeled after her. And she looks like that. So it's no, this is a real female. It's what she looks like. And yes, there's exaggerations. Yes, it's the male gaze. Yes, it's all this stuff, you want to name it. But it's a good game.
And
it's a good game.
And for the record, like 90-something%, or maybe 80% nowadays of gamers are males. Right. And so let's just be really honest. They made it and they're selling like gangbusters, and they're crushing, not just because it's a good game, but because they made it for gamers.
Yeah, for the male audience. But it's, besides that, it's just a fun action on it is really good. It has a fun exploration. It's a futuristic world. It's good sci-fi. The story is good.
Yeah, just note that there's some provocative female figures that are on there that are dressed accordingly. So if you're a family gamer, then just be aware of that and be prepared for that. You might have some explaining to do to a younger.
Yeah, so we recommend it. It's not a cautious one. It's definitely a good recommendation. It's, you see it, you're like, I don't know, but just go play it, and it's fun.
Yeah. So one that Andrew has asked to be put on this list.
Yeah. As a huge Star Wars fan.
I am a massive Star Wars fan. You know that.
Okay, so this game is a really good Star Wars game. It had some controversy because it took the female model's face and didn't look as good as the picture, which they can always make you look better. So making it look worse is, you have to work at that. There's no excuse. As an artist, there's no excuse. So they did it on purpose. And I can see why. They don't want to have the male gaze aspects. They don't want to have it like, oh, pretty gorgeous model as our main character, but that's who you picked, and it's a real life person. So by changing her looks, she looks weird.
And I'm not going to dive down the rabbit hole on this. I promise you I'm not going to dive down the rabbit hole on this, but I'm just going to simply say that ever since The Acolyte was released on Disney Plus, that was the final straw for me. And I have been a lifelong.
I have to say, we have to digress right now. The Skeleton Crew is awesome. It's only in the second third episode, but it's amazing. And I'm now like have hope for Star Wars after watching the first couple.
See, now
they can still blow it. They can still make it horrible, but right now, awesome.
But honestly, until the season comes to an end and I get
you don't know.
I'm not watching it at
until
all
it's over.
Until it's over. And voices that I trust who watch this kind of media are going to come out and give a realistic, honest review of it. Not a hyped up review, because like there are some content creators out there who are definitely geared towards a certain audience, and they're going to poo anything that comes out from Kathleen Kennedy right now. But Acolyte was a bridge too far for me.
Oh, it's horrible.
And I have been tolerant, and I have loved Star Wars, and I tried to watch the first, and then I was done.
I watched the first episode, and I waited months, and I watched the second episode, and then the third episode, I watched the first 10 minutes, this is just horrible. No,
look, it's beyond just horrible
when you.
It's not Star Wars when you completely disregard established canon because you've deemed it as legend.
Yeah.
So that you can go create your own Star Wars universe.
Call it something else.
Yeah. And I think that's part of my thing is that quit hijacking things that we love to make them yours because daddy bought you the fancy car and all the fancy stuff. And so you're going to go in and you're going to ruin the intellectual property that we love.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Anyway, but Star Wars Outlaws, I'm sorry.
This is perfect. So basically, my first reaction to Star Wars Outlaws was like, I started playing it, and I'm an old man gamer. I used to play games and whiz through them pretty quickly and find out all the puzzles. Now I'm kind of older. I'm like, oh, where am I supposed to go again? Oh, I died again. Oh, I died again. Oh, I died again. This makes me mad. I have to go online. Oh, I have to go that way. Oh, I have to wait for this and that. So Star Wars Outlaws had a lot of that with stealth, like Thief, the first Thief game. And
okay, gotcha.
And I'm like a stealth person, but not too much. Like I'm not. So if you're a big stealth person, Outlaws, the original version was amazing. Still is. You can still do stealth stuff. But they realized from the feedback from the people actually playing it, because a lot of people just boycotted it because of the face change, that actually people playing it were like, this is not fun with the stealth problems where you have to only do one path and it's hard and I'm not enjoying that. So now there's always a blaster option. It's an RPG kind of way. You can upgrade your speeder, your outfit for like better material to protect yourself, and also your gun. So you could play it as a gunner or as a stealth person or as a wisecracking talker type person. So now they made it way easier. Just like no matter what you're doing, you can just get your way through the next part instead of being stuck someplace. They made it easier in some way, but they made it more options. So you're never stopping the game and reloading and stopping the game and reloading. So from that point of view, you actually play more the game like a Han Solo adventure with female Han Solo. And she has a cute little, if you ever played any of the Far Cry games, this is a Ubisoft game. It's like you go from point to point, there's different bases set up and you have to find things and hack in and steal plans and get out. So it's like your a young Han Solo in female form, which there's no problem with that is going around the Star Wars universe, dealing with Jabba the Hutt, dealing with maybe Darth Vader, dealing with other people in the series, and the graphics and the sound and everything's amazing. So and there's some good story in it. So I definitely suggest giving it a second look. I think it definitely got dinged for what it came out with, but I think they're realizing the mistakes and we'll see what happens with that company. They're up for sale, right?
They might be. And I will just simply say this. As I look deep into the camera, I will say it from the bottom of my heart. Until Kathleen Kennedy does not have anything to do with Star Wars, does not have her fingers on it, does not have her fingerprints on it, does not touch it, I will continue to boycott Star Wars. Because this is no longer the Star Wars I recognize. This is not a Star Wars that I want to be part of. I will go back to the original first 6 movies under George Lucas. I will include Rogue One. Yep. I will include The Mandalorian, because Mando actually was pretty solid, and Filoni did some good stuff and has done some questionable stuff. But until Kathleen Kennedy stops touching and has any influence over Star Wars, I don't want anything to do with it.
Now let's go to Baldur's Gate 3, because there's a game that does everything. You can be any type of background, enjoy that game. But it does it so well.
Yeah, but that's just it. So that was our very first episode that we filmed, was about Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And that was something that you and I talked about, is that some of the pushback from a more conservative viewpoint was that you could have male body parts with a female voice or female body. There are a lot of different, whatever you want. But we also said in there, and I said it back then, and I'll say it again, which is one of the things that's brilliant about Baldur's Gate 3 is the fact that you can, as in any Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game, you play it however you want. You play your character any way you want, and your character is basically set up within the confines of this construct of the story and the programming. But it's, you want to do a fighter that's a female that also later on reclasses to a bard and likes to sing, you can do it.
You can be a male paladin and
just go pound away.
Awful good.
Yeah, you can be chaotic evil. You can do all sorts of different paths.
I played the paladin once and I killed some people by accident, and like you get visitations by breaking the little rules. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, no, you're talking about Oathbreaker stuff. But and still, Baldur's Gate 3 continues to be phenomenal, and they're looking at, and they continue to improve on it, and I'm really excited to see what kind of downloadable content comes out, because it's still a blast to play right now, and we've had it for quite a few months.
Side note, Dragon Age, I played every version 100%, all of them. Haven't touched this new one because of all the stuff around it, and just go play Baldur's Gate 3. Don't waste your time.
There you go. All right, so then there's another one on here, Metaphor Refantasio, which I have heard of. I've seen it on the list for Game of the Year and things of that nature. So what is that?
Persona 5 wanted to get out of their Japanese like village, like where everything spiritually and monsters attack, and you have your emotional persona. So they want to do a fantasy land thing. So they have the wizards, all different creatures. They have different races. And it's very focused on that. Like some races are looked down upon, some are like high and mighty, and there's humans and different forms of that. So it's like you have a little, what's the Peter Pan? What's her name? Tinkerbell. The Tinkerbell guides who with you.
Oh, so you got like a pixie that comes with you.
Pixie comes with you, explaining you're trying to save the prince. I won't say any more besides that, but you're going to a different capital, and it's a lot of medieval politics, but also fairness and subterfuge But it's a normal Japanese JRPG. Like you have to go in the room and the monsters are attacking you and there's 4 attacking you and you have your magician and your fighter all reacting to it. So it's it's a good RPG. It's a good Japanese RPG done by the team Persona, which have great graphics, great voice acting. If you want to just get a nice Japanese JRPG and enjoy it, this is the one. This one everybody plays it, loves it. I agree with them. I'm about 10 hours into it and I really enjoy it.
All right. And so definitely on the recommend for the holidays. All right. Very cool. And then just because we did episodes on this, because I'm a hardcore Mech Warrior 5.
The best one yet.
Inner Sphere, but they released Mech Warrior 5 Clans. And now you have the clans coming in, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, love you, love you. This is phenomenal. Mech Warrior 5's Clans. If you're a Mech Warrior fan, if you like stomping around with big stompies, the graphics are phenomenal. It's smooth. It's fun.
They give you
different controls. Now, I will say this. Now, one of the things that you need to be aware of is, unlike Mech Warriors 5 Inner Sphere, Clans is story-driven.
Yeah, very.
So they drove it through the story, so it's sandbox-ish.
Because you have to follow the story.
But you still have to follow the story.
But it's cool.
Yeah, so you're definitely
on the story, the big story. So it's like,
and it fits right along with it. And so it's awesome. And I didn't see any faults or failings with it. And I'm really enjoying it.
I think we're going to have some repeats. We might start our first gameplay on Mech Warrior 5, where Seth and I take on some missions, and we'll post that. So
that'd be amazing. I would love that. Okay, and so now we have Balatro.
Balatro is a pokerish type game that is so addictive. Everybody plays it, goes, and they play it for 20 hours, 30 hours. Or like, if I give it to Seth a crack, he'd be like playing it forever. So yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm not allowed to play it.
But he might just start playing because he's like that. He's, I shouldn't play it. Now he will play it. So Balatro is on every device. It's on Apple now. It's on your phone.
Okay.
It comes with arcade free now. If you have the arcade, it comes with it. It's on the Switch. It's on the PS5. It's on the Xbox. Every device you can think of is on there. And it's written by one programmer. And the gist of it is you play poker. You have so many cards given out. But the jokers you can collect a joker each time. You get points or money if you win. After each hand you win, and you can buy more jokers. And the jokers change the game. Jokers might say, hey, if you have a full house, now you get 20 extra points, or a multiplier times 3. This joker says, Four of a Kind does. This joker says every time you get a pair, you get an extra $1. So like you start collecting.
Okay.
You only have so many jokers you can have, but then there's these astrological cards that change things, and you can increase your rank, and then you play through it again. Now everything stays the same with your extra cards you won, and changes the whole game. They keep decks. It's he's a stat-driven guy. So this is like his game, his crack, doesn't know it. We'll do another episode after he's played this.
Hey, you know what? Kudos to the individual programmer, single programmer who made this happen, because
it's so addicting. Everybody I ever talked to in gaming is, it's at Game of the Year, maybe the Game of the Year, just because that indie person did this. Like, it's like amazing. And if you're in a good stat, luck, but skill game, you have to play it.
All right. Okay. So Balatro, I did not something that was on my list, but and then
I hate to say it, but it definitely sets the new addiction by night. But Prince of Persia, what's that title again?
The Lost Castle.
This is funny. They have a development team. It's amazing 2D scroller. It's like a Metroid game from like Nintendo.
So it harkens back to the original Prince of Persia.
Oh yeah, it's the original Prince of Persia, but like on steroids. It's a really great game, beautiful graphics, but no one bought it. So they already disbanded the team. But the game itself is only $19.99, and it's if you like side scrollers with like
not just if you like side scrollers, but also if you are an old man gamer and you played Prince of Persia.
Yeah, it looks like the best version of Prince of Persia you've ever seen. It's like great traps, and what's cool about it is like when you're playing Metroid, you're like, gosh, where did I see that thing? And now I can do, I can't do. You can actually take pictures and put as reminders of like where you saw something that you couldn't do in the first 10 hours. You only do in the 40th hour, so you can go back to that. So it has all these like cool little tricks to make the game even better. The graphics are amazing. The story's great. It's just like the best Prince of Persian side-scrolling game ever. Probably one of the best side-scrollers ever made. And no one bought it. So definitely go out and buy that. It's $19.99. It's on sale on every platform.
I didn't even hear about it, but that's the problem is I didn't even hear about Prince of Persia. I'm a fan of Prince of Persia. In fact, Jake Gyllenhaal made the movie, and I went and watched the movie in theaters because I like Prince of Persia.
Yeah, it's like the best. And it came out early this year, so people forgot about it. But now it's really cheap because they didn't sell. And it's one of the best games you can play on any platform.
Andrew, we've had this conversation before. It's not cheap. It's inexpensive.
It's inexpensive. Correct. And was that it for our list?
I think that's it for the list. So you know what? All I got to say is, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Yes.
Or one of my other fun ones is have a happy Ramahan Kwanzaa. Have a happy Ramahan Kwanzaa.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a Ramahana Kwanzaa.
Wow.
It covers everybody. But in this season, I will also say we will see each other before by the time this is published, but we will see each other before. This is obviously before Christmas, and we will see each other before then and just after then. So I will say to you, brother, have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
And we will definitely talk before then.
It's going to be a great New Year.
Yeah. And it's going to be a phenomenal New Year. And
remember, subscribe.
So also remember this because I'm learning this. My left shoulder is like. So remember to like. And remember to subscribe.
Yep.
And subscribe. If you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, please and subscribe. Also, feel free to share the content out there on Facebook, x.com, anything like that. We're going to be working on putting up some social channels that go along with this. And for all of y'all that have been watching Old Man Gamers, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for your patience and waiting for this new episode to come out. We're going to try to be a little bit better about getting it out once a week. That's the goal, is to have one episode a week.
Yep.
Outside of that, though, all we can also say is, like I said, you guys, all of y'all out there, have a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy gaming. Enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your family. May your Christmas be merry and bright. And may your New Year's be absolutely brilliant in the coming year.
That's all we got to say.
Yeah, it's great.
Till next time.
Yeah, till next time. And it was great seeing you back here in the studio.
Totally. Awesome.